So we're looking at the if statement now, which is again a conditional statement. But what is important to note about if is that it's a condition which is sufficient but not necessary. So remember this, it is a sufficient statement but it is not necessary. Now what does that mean? So these are a bunch of cause and effect statements, okay? They typically look like, if the dog barks then it will rain, okay? If I go to London then I shop. If I cry then I eat an ice cream. So this is what the questions look like, but these are, as you can see, cause effect statements. Now what does this mean? That these are sufficient but not necessary. These are sufficient statements but are not necessary. It means that each time a cause happens, it is sufficient enough a condition for the effect to happen. But if the effect is happening, let's say on its own, or if you just stumble upon the effect and you see that the effect is happening, it is not necessarily because of the cause. It's not necessarily because of the cause. But if the effect does not happen, then it is important that the cause also did not happen. Why? Because it was a sufficient condition for the effect to happen. If the effect is not happening, then necessarily the cause would not have happened, because each time the cause happens, the effect happens, right? But effect is not happening, then it is a done thing that the cause did not happen. But if the cause did not happen, then we can't for sure say anything about the effect, because effect, though, it happens without, irrespective of the cause, right? So look at it this way. If the cause is happening, then essentially the effect will happen. Why? Because it is a sufficient condition for the effect to happen. But if the effect is happening, it is not necessary that it happened because of the cause. Similarly, if you go to the negative side, if the effect did not happen, if you see that the effect has not happened, then pakka the cause did not happen, because each time the cause used to happen, the effect used to happen. But if the effect hasn't happened, then definitely the cause hasn't taken place, right? But if the cause does not happen, we know that effect takes place irrespective, it is independent. Therefore, we won't be able to say that the effect has happened or not. So, if you've understood the logic behind this, remember where I talked about how it is important in a competitive exam to save time. Time is of essence. For these questions also, when you're sitting for the exam, it is advisable that you don't go into logic, because there are lots of things happening here and there, lots of chance of various mistakes happening. Therefore, when you're solving these questions, now this is because I've solved a lot of questions and therefore I've come upon the certain rule based scenario. So mostly people solve this only on the basis of logic, but then you can establish rules if once you've solved as many questions, which is exactly why I am sharing it with you. Now, the rule is, now this is for to aid your memory. The rule is, in case of if C leads to E, always, effect does not happen, cause does not happen. This is the rule. Now, if you notice, what have I written? What have I written? Can you see? I've written down only those case scenarios where you're getting an answer. This is a case scenario where you're getting an answer. Then this is a case scenario when you're getting an answer, right? In the rest of the two cases, you can see this big question mark, right? That means you're not getting an answer, and I've made a rule out of this. Now, the rule basically means that you'll only get a definite answer for the if statement if you take these into account. Also, another thing that you have to remember, these statements, these words, whenever they're used, they're nothing but if. It's the same thing. Okay? You've got to use if over there.